This is Don and Chad Branton from Leroy, New York, up between Rochester and Buffalo. We're about 30 miles south of Lake Ontario. We have some pretty nice soil up in our area, and we have some pretty stony soil in our area. This past year, we switched over to a Kraus Gladiator strip till machine. Previously, we had another brand. It was time to update and get something new, so we took a hard look at what to step up to and what to change over to, and this Kraus Gladiator that we went with left a much nicer seed bed than the previous tool that we had. Set it up so we could put nitrogen in the bottom of the trench when we make a trench. The unit's much easier to work on when you have to work on it, and fortunately it hasn't required much work yet, but during the season we had the best corn crop that we'd ever had. Hopefully this tool added to that. Nitrogen management surely has played an important part of that. We ended up this past year just over 200 dry bushel per acre average, which again is the best we'd ever done. Our 5-year average on dry corn now is 175 bushel to the acre. And every year at the end of the year, I look at our pounds of applied nitrogen per bushel. I add up the total bushels produced, and I add up the total pounds of nitrogen that was applied to the fields and calculate it out that way. And this past year, we were just over 0.7 of a pound of applied nitrogen per bushel. Over the last several years, we have come in anywhere from 0.55 pounds of applied nitrogen to that 3/4 of a pound of applied nitrogen, which I feel really good about. Obviously, our soil health is playing an important part on it, but running the strip till rig ahead of it, which many of our neighbors now in the area are either running a strip till unit or a zone builder. We have a lot of dairy in the area, so some of the farms have compacted soils. So looking at this as a way to alleviate soil compaction. Some farms were forced by financial reasons to switch to strip till or zone building pass ahead of their planting operation to reduce labor expenses and equipment expenses, repair expenses, and the big thing that we've seen is fuel expenses. With the changes in tillage, we've been able to reduce our fuel bill approximately 50%. My son Chad runs a strip tiller most of the time now. We set it up with section control, has a hydraulic drive pump on it, so that we can through GPS, we can do a prescription map and apply nitrogen, which is something we're certainly looking forward to do in the future to better place the little bit of nitrogen we put on now in the proper place and try to be better for the environment and for our financial success. So Chad, if you got anything to add to it.
Yeah, right now everything we apply fertilizer with, we can do variable rate with. We have the capability to do prescription maps if we so choose to. We even have the capability of measuring or approximating the amount of nitrogen that a cover crop can supply with our green seeker on our sprayer and making a map up for the zone builder, which we put down the majority of our nitrogen with prior to planting, and we still apply some nitrogen with the planter. Approximately 1/4 goes down with the planter and 3/4 to 90% goes down with the strip tiller. Other than that, we try to stay up to date on technologies to minimize the fertilizer loss and keep it efficient.
Perfect.
This past year, we use a realistic yield goal on each field. We look at each individual field, past history, and go with a realistic yield goal of what we think those fields are capable of. This past year, with the extremely wet weather we had in the spring, assuming some nitrogen loss, we ran all of our field numbers, all the data through Cornell's newer Adapton program that they're constantly working on. Got some information back from them that we were going to be short of nitrogen, even though my original calculations and yield goal, I had put just a slight touch more on than I had anticipated I would need. Well, with all the wet weather again and the warm temperatures, with the loss that they had projected we had, We did go through approximately half of our corn ground and drop tube 60 pounds on, which their general recommendation was 100 pounds and a little more on some fields, but we did leave check strips on 2 fields so that we could measure our success or failure, and in the end on both those fields there was a slightly over 40 bushel yield difference where we put nitrogen, the additional on, and where we didn't. On the other approximately half of the acreage that we did not follow up with more nitrogen, even though it called for it, we still harvested our yield goal, and our yield goal was in the 180 to 210 bushel per acre. It was interesting at the end of the year when we were all said and done to look at what our original projections were for the fields and where we came in at a final yield result, and we came in on target. So we felt good about that. What it makes us concerned about now is the more we know, the less we know, that maybe we need to fine-tune our nitrogen program some, which we're certainly going to take a look at. That is this later season nitrogen, can we make that pay off, and better rewards down the road? So something to look at. So we need to keep an open mind and get your head out of the box.